This is the reason why you should buy. And we're not asking the most important question, the reason why it was important for them, in their heart of hearts. Like, that's a sale. Then we're going to see results, the mindset, going into every opportunity, saying to yourself, I would love to have the business, but I don't need the business. When they talk about building their organization just through referral, that means they're missing it. The internet almost shut down because they're like, are you blind? Do you not know what's going on out there? Do you not see what's happening?
You just hit 250,000 cold calls. Congratulations.
Welcome to the Pipe Podcast. I have Patrick Tinney as my guest today. Patrick, so excited to have you on the Pipe Podcast today, and I just want to thank you for joining us. For those that are just arriving, Pipe, what do we talk about? We talk about sales process, we talk about sales initiatives, experiences, and then obviously prospecting as well. So that's the Pipe Podcast in a nutshell. Just love to dig into and just jump into a little bit. And Patrick, if you're ready, I'd just like you to tell our, the audience a little bit about yourself, about your organization, your company. What part of the world do you run, Patrick? And give them just a high level overview, if you don't mind.
Yeah, well, I'm coming to you from Bancroft, Canada, which is it's Sales Central in Canada. It's about 2.5 hours north of Toronto. And I lived in Toronto for about 25 years, but I thought I needed to elevate myself. So I moved the center of Canada's sales world a little bit further north. I've been in sales now, I guess, about 45 years without giving my age away. And I was in corporate for around 27, sold local, sold on commission, off commission. I was the reluctant manager. Everybody kept wanting to, I think I was offered 6 management positions before I finally took one. Just simply because I was so interested in finishing my personal business education, which didn't actually finish until I was in my 30s. And I knew that if I got involved with management, then it would be like 24/7. And I also enjoyed launching products. I launched an awful lot of them with my company, resizing things, rethinking how production worked. And so with that, when I left corporate, I retired at 49. My deal book was between 350 and 400 million Canadian. That's about $150 American. And time delay. Yeah, we got loonies up here. Anyway, so I started to sort of think about what I was going to do with the rest of my life, and so I spent a little bit of time staring at just a blank wall, and I said, "It's sales negotiation training." See, in the States, you've got a number of good institutions that teach negotiation, and here in Canada, we hadn't quite arrived yet, and I was probably early to the game, but it was a great time to launch a company and get this 208.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
what
right.
a great time to launch a company, right?
That's right. That's great. That is a great time.
My first client though was KPMG.
Wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what was the climate back then? I mean, all of a sudden, you're launching your own organization, you're launching your own company. I mean, there's a lot of movement in the market at that time, which everyone knows about. So how did you keep your head on straight? Like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, when you identify a gap in the market and it hasn't been filled yet, the universities hadn't done a very good job with it. And I found this out on a 50-store book signing tour that I did. I did a lot of research. I talked to a lot of people about, what they knew about negotiation and all the rest of it. And that verified what I believed very early. And that was that the way that I was negotiating in the corporate world was different than what other people were doing. Now, I got this verified to a degree by watching the people that would take over my accounts after I moved into management. And I could just see the results they were getting, and they were different than mine. Mm-hmm. So this led me to sort of sit down and say to myself, all right, so what are the 10 ugliest things anybody's ever done to you in a negotiation? And that's when I started to build my catalog of strategies. So as we stand here today, I can name over 30 negotiation strategies. A couple of them overlap in a couple of areas. 25 of them reside unbundled, totally deconstructed in the back of my book, Unlocking Yes, the Revised Edition. I actually wrote the book twice, if you can believe it. What a bozo. But I just felt that the book needed one more crack. I'm a bear for punishment. It just, I had to go back at it. So in theory, I've written 4 books, not 3, but there you go.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Unlocking Yes, if you don't mind. What sure. when your readers are and they're going through, they're absorbing the material, they're learning, some of the tactics and the process that you've kind of built into the book. What are you hoping at the end of, when they're flipping those last few pages, or when they're getting towards the end, what are 3 takeaways that you're hoping that they walk away from that maybe they wouldn't have known, before reading that, that book?
The first one is, oh my God, how much money have I left on the table throughout my entire life? Seriously.
It's great.
Yeah. If you understand strategy, so the book is a strategy-based book. I would say that there's a lot of elements in the book because everything is written in lesson format, 1,200 words or less. So what I do is I'm one of these guys. I come from the newspaper business, and I know how to compress information. I wasn't good at it in the beginning. As a matter of fact, I was, sort of a run-on sentence guy until I finally got some discipline. But I took what I believe are many of the most complicated negotiation strategies in the world today and simplified them at the grade 11 reading level. And you might ask, why did you do that? Great question, Chris. You're just like on it today.
Thank you.
Oh, you're crushing it. I can feel that.
Whoa. It's just like every day.
So if I had to articulate my target market by country, what would you say are the top 2?
I would say anyone that's, by country, target market by country.
Yeah. Give 2 countries.
I would say obviously Canada, US, right?
No. India first, the US second.
Yeah. Interesting.
India, 1.4 billion people.
Okay.
It's an open economy. They're almost all entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And there's very little of what I do there. Jeb Blunt has been over. He went over and had a look.
Sure.
He was in India. I actually arranged a dinner for him and a friend of mine, Ruhail Khan, and they had some time over there. I think it's an incredible country because what it's doing is it's moving from a multi-layered wealth environment to more of a middle class. It's trying to get to middle class. They had a really ambitious plan to rewire all of India so that everybody could operate a business off of a smartphone, and they've done it. Yeah, it's exciting. I've actually got reviews now in India. Yeah, Italy's opening up for me, by the way.
That's amazing. That's a great. I would have never guessed it. I would have never guessed that would be where you're, where you're targeting, where you're going after, what you're looking for. But it makes complete sense now that you've talked about it. Right.
Well, let's look at it this way. If you are going to be successful in business, it's got to be the United States. If you want to impact arguably the largest emerging economy in the world, it has to be India. Because you can't change China single-handedly. My books are in China, by the way. So it takes 4 to 5 years for the government to allow your books to go there. But my books appear on JD.com. And I don't just appear on Amazon. So I've got a very unique style of publishing books in that I opened up my own book publishing company. I originally started up with Lulu.com, who were the first company to publish, I think it's 50 Shades of Grey. And I was with them, and then I just decided I wasn't getting the depth of distribution that I wanted. And I started to understand the distribution business so well because that's where I came from in the newspaper business. Then when I approached our Barnes and Noble up here in Canada, which is Chapters, for my second book, I walked in with basically a marketing plan, and they bought 800 books on the first crack.
Wow.
And I told them what stores to put them in.
Yeah.
I had a marketing plan. Yeah.
But see, isn't it part of when we talk about planning, and let's talk, part of the podcast, we talk about process, right? We really focus on sales process, sales strategy, what market to go after, what to look for. And most of everything we really focus on, at least on this podcast, Patrick, is really sales. It is really that silo of sales, right? But let's talk about the planning piece. And I didn't get you to answer the other two. So you said, okay, first, wait, we go back to the book and we say, okay, the two other takeaways that you're hoping that they walk away from the book. One was leaving a lot of money on the table. What were 2 and 3?
Yeah, I would say number 2 would be the revelation that you can actually plan the details of a sales conversion using a triangulated SWOT analysis. I'm the only guy to have done it that I've seen the way that I've done it so far. And I give you all the details. So I actually show you how to do it. So we do a SWOT analysis on the customer, on us, and who we think our closest competitor is to us in that negotiation. So we can talk very much like an insider when we go and do the deal. And, we're focusing on the customer's future thinking. There is part of negotiation that requires us to think about the weaknesses and threats that the customer is facing, but more as a defense mechanism. In other words, to say, if you haven't really thought about this in a while, here's what's coming up behind you, and we can help you.
Right.
Yeah. So I would say the last thing is it really has to do with an awareness of what can actually be done in a negotiation, in as much as we've been sold this model of win-win, win-lose, lose-lose, lose-win. I would argue that there's a 5th piece that goes in there, and it's just to the right of win-win, and that is, how do we grow the pie? How do we make the pie bigger if the other side, their needs are larger than what we can offer from a price perspective? So then we have to say, all right, so listen, what else have you got to put on the table? And if you can widen that pie, then maybe I can go back and sort of say, all right, so we've grown the business larger than we would have thought. So maybe there's a little bit more openness to do some things that you might not have thought of, and offer some what I would refer to as elegant solutions.
It's brilliant. I mean, and it's so, I've talked to a couple other friends in this industry and in the whole world of sales consultation, coaching, training, mentoring. And, so many times we forget about going back and talking about those elegant solutions that maybe they never thought about. Or how has your organization or business expanded over the years? And now you're offering something, or a service, or a product, or something that your current client doesn't even know that you have. When are we going back to
and you
talk
know what?
to?
That's right.
Totally.
And so that's that element of coolness that you bring to the very biggest negotiations where you have real partnerships with your customer, not people who are working you over for price all the time. Because why would you take your best creative ideas to people who want to commoditize you? So if you walked into one of your largest customers and said, all right, a little insider news, I'm going to pull the curtain back a hair. Here's what we're working on. If you're interested as part of this negotiation, we'll bring you in. We will run beta testing on this. We'll share the research results. We'll be as transparent as we can be. And by the way, it ends up that you will be the first company in your sales vertical to use this, giving you a competitive edge in the marketplace for a period of time. Having a competitive edge where you own something that your competitors don't for a period of time is like watching a SpaceX rocket go off and realizing you're not in the rocket.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, and this is this is a gold nugget right here. I mean, I'm going to repeat it because I wrote it down. Why would you take one of your creative? Why would you take these types of creative ideas and you would want to, and I'm going to paraphrase it because I wrote part of it down, but why wouldn't you want to take those your most creative ideas, and would you want that to be monetized in some way? I mean, is that the focus, is the monetization of that, or is it getting in front of your competitors and saying, we've got something different, we've got something unique, we've got something special here, and you're actually in front of it?
Yeah. So to answer your question, the answer is yes, both ways. So it could be a brand new account that you're trying to convert, a brand new area. And you just say, all right, welcome to the company, sir. As they say at the no limit poker table, welcome to the poker table, sir. We've been waiting for you. There's only two positions that you have to worry about on a poker table. It's who is the table captain, because on an 11-seat table, that man or woman drives all the action. And who is the fish? Now, the table captain is usually pretty easy to figure out after a few hands. The fish is a little tougher. And if you don't figure out who the fish is, guess what? It's you.
It's you. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's great.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're in
so
over
let's
your
talk
skis.
so one of the things that you mentioned, and this is a quote of yours. It says, trying to survive on limited skill sets and relying on price to stay relevant are short-lived strategies, right? And so
yeah, you can feed the troops for a while, but honest to God, I walked into a company, so you've really touched on a nerve. This is how I finished Unlocking Yes. So I had been working on a company for about a year. I got in and I wanted to get in at the C-suite. That's generally the area that I like to walk into. Or at least I like to have some contact with them. I just want their navigation to know who it is that I should sit with in their company to really, get it done so that we have agreement across their ecosystem, correct? So I get in front of these people and all of a sudden I'm realizing that what they're doing is going out and basically buying the business. Scared the heck out of me.
No.
I sort of sat there and nodded and went, oh, yeah. Then I went home and I was just like, are you kidding me? I waited a year for that meeting. Big boardroom, all the rest of it, and them telling me they had no money and blah, 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 and all this. I hear this a lot. So anyway, I went home and I thought, this is it. I'm going to write a proposal I know you can't accept. I just don't want to be a part of it. I can't. If that is the thinking at the top of the company, how am I going to change everybody?
No, culture is so important. No, and it's good. I mean,
culture's it.
It's it. And how many times have you walked into an organization where they may not have everything right, but man, the culture is on point. They've got individuals within those roles that are, they're committed to the organization. They want the company to grow. They want to do a great job in their roles. I mean, now those are exciting organizations as long as they have something viable, right? Something viable in the marketplace that people either want or need.
Right. Um, so I think there's a lot of companies like that, and I think what happens, to be perfectly honest with you, Crispin, is I think that organizations just get stuck, and they can't figure out how to get out, and they're surviving. So if you're surviving but you're not growing, people are being paid, braces are being covered, people are being fed, but you're not growing. And through the pandemic, how much of this have we witnessed? I mean, we've got more bankruptcies here in Canada than Carter has liver pills.
Right. That he's still alive. Yeah.
There's a lot that are gone. I've walked into businesses and, I remember walking into a smaller business one day and the lady said, yeah, come on in and I'll take care of you. She said, by the way, you'll be one of my last customers. And I said, why? I said, you're running it out of your house. Everything is brilliant. Your costs are all figured in. This is just clean money. She goes, I've had enough. She just couldn't see growing the business anymore. Yeah. And the other thing that I see happening, which is it's really worrisome to me, not to everybody, but when people go to sell companies, sometimes they don't know how to sell their company. They don't know how to put a value on it. They don't know how to create value. They don't know how to express futures. They may have great real estate, great chattels, but they don't know how to put a valuation on that. I saw a business up here that should have sold for around 6 million, go for 1.5.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, they had like 5 to 7 acres on a main road, paved driveways, a store, a house that was on the property, outbuildings, a pond. It just goes on and on. It went for 1.5. I sold my house up here for half of that.
My goodness. It's amazing. It's amazing. So so you see what's happening now. I mean, out there, you're on the street, you've got, new clients and existing clients that you've served. I mean, when you go into some of these organizations or some of these large businesses and you're providing, the services, through Centroid marketing and other training, coaching, mentoring, all of these things that you're helping with.
It's everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what do you say to some of these organizations when you're saying, if you're not doing these 3 things this year, if you're not focusing on these 3 things this year, then you're going to be in trouble. By December 31st, 2023, you're going to be in trouble if you're not focusing on these 3 things.
Well, right now I'm kind of focused on one. And there's a reason for it. So we're going through a massive cutback in the corporate world. It started in Silicon Valley and now it's spreading. Because once companies see other companies doing it, then that kind of gives them like a free ride to go out and right-size their companies. So they're doing it. So one of the things that I'm talking to people about right now is to protect their bottom lines. Because as companies shrink to grow, which is a horrible metaphor, but that's what they're doing. They're shrinking their top line to grow their profit. Then what you're doing is you're going to automatically put a lot more pressure on your buying group, and then your buying group puts pressure on their sellers that come in, and so those sellers can also be other corporations. So you have to be ready to not have your own bottom line being shrunk by somebody else who's being predatory, because it's they went from being Bambi to Godzilla.
Yeah. Right.
Come on and sit down. We'll do a deal. Get in here and sit down. Oh boy, that's a big difference.
It's
yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's really strange. So I've just built a sales negotiation masterclass. It's 2 workbooks. It's 120 slides deep. How many people do you know are delivering programs that size in negotiation.
No way.
Sales and sales negotiation.
10 slides, 12 slides, a tenth of that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I've done is I've really looked at strategy as being sort of that middle piece that is so large that when people leave this training, they'll have 10 of the ugliest buyer strategies bolted into their brain. They can never forget it again. They will know the other 15 that they could bump into. But I explain it to them in a way where they understand buyer risk, seller risk, and time compression, as well as navigation with the customer, maybe even having to reroute the customer or calling the customer out for using nefarious negotiation strategies. And you know what? Great. You know how many customers have a backup plan, the buyers, for a strategy that they're using? None.
No way. No way.
And procurement's another pretty one. So, Anthony Iannarino talks about this a lot. There's a few guys and ladies out there that are talking about it right now. And I just think it's funny because, as a sales industry, we've somehow been introduced to procurement, which happened about 20 years ago.
Right.
Okay. It was about 20 years ago. That's when it started. It started with the large, consultancies, and they're coming into large companies just saying, do you realize that you're wasting $50 million a year? Oh God, everybody goes, not again. So anyway, yeah, exactly. Right. So, I can remember going through this with the Hudson's Bay Company, and my guys at the Hudson's Bay Company were like, no, don't do anything crazy, right? Right. So just be cool, right? But anyway, it's kind of funny because I think the conversation comes down to this. So let's say that procurement really drives a hard deal with you. So they really start to take the quality triangle and they're twisting it up like a pretzel. So they're taking time, quality, and pricing, and they're squishing them all, right? So they look like a bad sponge ball. And you say to this procurement person at the end, they say, you have warped our offering so much that is the person, are you actually the end user, Bob? Oh, I'm not the end user. I'm procurement. Well, who's the end user? It's Bill and Mary. Oh, you like them? Oh, yeah, they're good company people. Rock solid. Well, do you think you should maybe get them up here and ask them what they think about your solution and how we're going to have to lower quality and follow-up and deliverables? Because do you think they'd accept this? Well, I'm not sure they would accept it. Well, you better get them up here before you sign the deal, don't you think? Because if something goes wrong at 3 o'clock in the morning and our guys say there's not enough profit in here, so it's like you're not going to get a knock number.
That's right.
We're not going to answer at 3 in the morning. We're not going to answer at 3 in the morning for you.
Right. That's exactly
what do you think the bill would say? Better get him up here because you're not going to be responsible, are you? He is.
Right. That's a tough conversation to have, for some people. It is because it's not, when we talk about common sense not being common, Patrick, to me and you, that makes sense. It's like, okay, you don't have the decision maker in the room, or you don't have the one that's actually going to be utilizing the service in that way. Right. So now you have to pivot, but you have to be strong. Like a lot of sales, and I'm talking about where I've talked to senior sales guys that have been in the game 15, 20 years, and they sometimes don't even feel comfortable standing in that, standing on that bright line and saying, I'm not going to pivot away from this. If I hear it, I have to say something. I have to be actionable, and I have to say something.
So I think there's two questions that have to be answered, Crispin. Number one, why is Crispin in sales? Why is Crispin?
The reason yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Number two, how is Crispin going to explain what he just did to his daughters?
Right.
10 years down the road.
Yep.
Hi, Daddy did the worst deal in the world, so you could go to soccer school.
Right.
Now, that hasn't helped you in later life, but I just want you to know what I sacrificed for, that time on the field.
Yep.
You have to see. I think one of the big problems right now in the marketplace is everybody is so nervous about making mistakes that they'd rather not make a decision than make a mistake.
Gosh, I hope they're hearing that. Like, I hope whoever's watching this or listening to it, I hope they heard that. If there's one piece that they should be hearing loud and clear, wow, is that a lesson? That's a lesson learned right there.
That's why salespeople now, I'm a sales guy. I love it. I live on the phone. I enjoy the engagement. I enjoy people saying, "No, Pat, not this time." I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just run beside you, because sooner or later you're going to get tired of the one you're working with, and then you're going to say, "Where's the guy from Bancroft?" But I just think that we have to de-risk deals so obtusely, so bluntly, so simply, so that you say to the person that you're selling this deal to, you say, all right, so my job is really not to sell you anything. My job is to help you buy intelligently. So here's a proposal. I want you to read it. We'll read it together. I'll sit beside you. Okay, first of all, that shortens the table. Second thing is, what I'd like you to do is take it home and present it to your husband or wife and see if they understand what you're potentially going to buy. Because if they don't understand what you're going to buy, then you got to come back to me so I can help you understand what you're buying.
Right.
Because it's only then that you're ready to walk into your senior management team and say, all right, guys, if we don't buy this from Crispin, we're crazy.
Right.
That's how good he is.
Yep. That's right. And
that's how de-risked this deal is. I mean, it's just like, what if our competitor gets it? What if they get Crispin? And we don't.
Yeah.
And we're in the same vertical.
That's right.
Break out the tweezers.
I love it. I mean, I'm telling you. And then we might have a name for your next book. De-risking the deal. I mean, just think about how much we could talk. We could take a whole nother episode and just talk about that. Shortening the table,
talk about it for
de-risking the deal. I mean, that whole piece, Patrick, is just absolutely critical, especially in this environment right now, because everyone's looking to be a little different than the competition. Everyone's looking to be, to sound and act differently in hopes of, because it's such a competitive marketplace, in hopes of the actual, buyer saying, at least some of, and I can tell you only about the best opportunities and the best deals I've ever been able to have the opportunity to work with, in these organizations that I've had to the opportunity to work with, when they've come back to me and they've said, Crispin, your pricing, you're not the cheapest, right? And your product set and what you're offering, comparable to what's happening. You built a good value proposition for what you're going to do for us. But there's just something different about you. And I'm not even sure they put their finger on it. I'm not even sure they could put their finger on it, but it's the way that the whole, sales event was managed from end to end. And also, the way that I was engaging with them and the value that they saw and the fit that we had between their perceived, services that they need and what we were to offer.
You said it all in one word: fit. That's it. You see, the minute you said that word, the word that popped into my mind is insider. Perfect fits are insiders, because when you speak, you sound just like them.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's when you get those really cool meetings, where they say, Crispin, I got an idea here in the company.
Mm.
but I think it's too radical for my own people. Would you consider breakfast and just listen to the idea? Don't be anything other than non-judgmental, but give me the upside and just give me the potential fallout if I don't execute in a certain way.
Right.
So in other words, put risk markers on it for me and put likability markers on it, approachability markers on it.
Yeah.
You see, people like ideas that are approachable. If an idea is simple enough, if you can explain it in a way that doesn't make them feel confused or not loading them up with a bunch of useless acronyms. If I could take one thing out of the business world right now and just go like this over to the wastebasket, it would be acronyms. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Yep.
Just use simpler language. Think about it this way. So let's say your CEO calls you in and it's a screamer call from a customer. And she says, Cris, we got a $3 million problem on the phone. Now, does your CEO want the 5,000 word answer with a lot of acronyms and things that needed to be, sort of bolted together? If you could do it like, rubber Lego. Or does she want the 500 word answer with 3 ranked solutions by cost and risk and meaningful to the customer, not stuff that we just want to unload? Oh yeah, we've got some stuff in the warehouse. Pull it out for Crispin, put it on a truck. They're going to love those straw hats. Straw hats are in this year. It's Alaska. Who cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
They get sunshine up there once a year.
Right. No, you're right. Yeah. And I'll add one more piece to that, Patrick. She wants it quickly. She also wants it quickly.
On a bullet.
That's right.
Yes.
So you better be ready.
That's what we're trained for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what we're trained for. If we have good managers, if we have good senior teams, they have built us up to be ready for those moments of truth. Yeah. Those trust bridges that all of a sudden have to be dropped, just like they used to do in the Second World War. Boys, we need a bridge. Thunk. And then the tanks go across.
That's right.
Yeah. Kelly's here.
This has been great, Patrick. I feel like we could talk all day. I'd like to just ask one more quick question, and then we'll jump into the Sales Arbiter 7. But I think just for the listeners and viewers out there, how do you do it all? I mean, you're writing these books, right? You've got existing clients that your organization serves, and you're continuing to grow and also coach and teach and do all of these things that you're doing as well as the full consulting breadth of services that you provide. How do you do it all? I mean, how do you manage all of that's going on in your world and what's happening with the organization as well? So
I eat a bucket of frogs every morning. I'm an incrementalist. I honestly, I just wake up and I say, all right, what are the 3 ugliest things I got to tackle that I really don't want to touch? And those are the first 3 things that get done. And it's incremental. It took me 7 years to finish Unlocking Yes, and then took another year and went back and rewrote it. I wrote Perpetual Hunger at the behest of the Global Minister of Entrepreneurship and Economic Development for the United Nations. His name is Tamer Higazi. I dedicated the book to him. I wrote it in 7 weeks, going around the clock. I could see the whole book in my mind. I just opened up my computer on January the 1st, 2016, and we met in 2015 when he said, I want you to write a second book. What I didn't realize was that my intellectual property number not only goes to Heritage Canada, it would be another area, in the United States, wouldn't be called Heritage. It would be, the foundation, or something like that. Mm-hmm. But the second place that it goes is the United Nations.
Wow.
Yeah, that's how they track a lot of intellectual property all over the world.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So
amazing.
you just get up and you say, we're going to do it. No
That's it.
excuses. Make your
Yeah.
bed.
I love
You know what else I've been doing? You know that general says, make your bed?
Mm-hmm.
I wash my own dishes. I can have a dishwasher. I cook all my
Yeah.
own food, but I wash my dishes. Why? It gives me a sense of humility.
That's right. That's right. That's great. I mean, all of it. I mean, it's the that's the three things that you've been procrastinating on that you don't want to do, that you know are going to be the hardest. Just tackle them right from the rip. Start right from that morning.
Do you know when I wrote the bonus round? So I wrote it in the pandemic. So I wrote my first master class, the sales and negotiation one, the full day one at the I finished it at the beginning of the pandemic and was just presenting it to a group of what I would call Centroid partners. I'm building a network across North America and perhaps later into Europe to present my work. And then I sat down and I thought, don't waste a good pandemic. Let's write a book. But the problem was I didn't have access to all the people that I would work with normally, right? And I didn't have access to things like galleys. So you call your printer and say, I'd like 6 galleys so that I can mark them up. There was nobody to talk to. So you know what I taught myself how to do? Edit live on my computer screen. You know how scary that is?
Oh my goodness.
When you hit save, OMG. Honest to God, it's like the scariest thing in the world. I don't want to sort of get into too many metaphors about how scary it is, but think about how scary that is.
Right. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's good. All right. We're going to jump into the Sales Arbiter 7 now, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, sure.
And
Sure.
I stole this from my friend James Lipton, who was inside the actor studio. I just thought there was some application for it here, and it really has resonated with those that have been on the show, because they find out a little bit more about Patrick Tinney than maybe they originally thought or knew. And so just kind of 7 fun questions that we can end with, and then I'll make sure that everyone knows how to get a hold of you, Patrick, as well. So when they're reaching out and they want help with the services and consulting services that you provide, as well as the marketing side, that they have a clear path to get to you. So let's just start with the first one. So what's your favorite word, Patrick?
Advance. Actually, there's 2: advance and integrity.
That's good. The second one might speak for itself. Tell me a little bit more about the first one.
Well, we can't change the past. And if we spend too much time in the future, then we don't get anything done in the present. As Uriah Heep once said in a song, today is only yesterday's tomorrow. So you got to spend all your time in today, or you'll waste it.
Yeah.
Like I'm one of the, when it comes down to time management, I get a lot done.
That's great. It's great.
I commit.
It's beautiful.
I commit.
Let's move to the next one. So what's your least favorite word?
I have a lot of them. I don't like sentences that begin with because. How can you put a causality word at the beginning of the sentence? That means like poo-poos, maybe.
I love it.
Chris Stone, quit laughing.
I love it. And it sounds a lot like excuse making to me as well.
It doesn't work. It's so wrong. It's just on so many levels, and then there's all of this, vagueness, and, obfuscation that we pushed into, sorry, I don't like using that word, confusion, that we pushed into the marketplace because it gives us some breathing room. Come on, just step up and use very small words. The most important words in the world? Yes, no, war. That's it.
Wow.
You know those three words. You can say them in Italian, Latino. You can say them in German. Man, everybody gets you.
You're good.
Icelandic is a bonus. Icelandic is a bonus.
There you go. There you go. That's great. I love it. Okay. What is something that could make your day?
Changing the trajectory of thought.
I love it. I love it. Change the trajectory of your thought. It's great.
Their thoughts.
Their thoughts. Their thoughts.
Yeah.
What's something that could ruin your day, Patrick?
Probably eating too many prunes.
Because
so you've done it. Oh no! You can't hide that kind of response. Oh, I know what it is. Forgetting your parachute when you go hot air ballooning. I did that. I went hot air ballooning, and I'm up in the air, and I got this Scottish. And by the way, I got tricked into it, and I was really hungover. And I got this Scottish female pilot. She looks over, and what happened is the clouds closed under us, and she looks over at me and she says, "Keep an eye open for the bigums." And I go, "Right on." So I'm staring out into nothingness because there's no noise at 15,000 feet. And finally, I thought, better ask, right? I said, "By the way, what are bigums?" She goes, "As we come down, they're big bloody towers that And I went, "Oh, God."
Oh, and then you forgot your parachute. That's not good. That's a tough day. What sound or noise do you love?
Harmony.
Harmony.
The Beatles and the Beach Boys probably had harmony down the best. John in the Beatles sung slightly sharp. My take is that Paul probably sang even or a hair flat, and George fit himself in the middle. The Bee Gees did the same thing. They sound like one voice.
Harmony. It's great.
Harmony.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I don't really have one. Honestly, I kind of look at it this way. So when I'm having a really bad day, I go for a walk, and I have what I call it like the board of directors. I get together in Pat's mind, so we all get together and we argue. So that's the first half hour out. That on the way back, I just open up my mind and I say, "All right, Pat, what are you grateful for?" Listen to nature, listen to all of those beautiful noises, and just let them float into your consciousness. Because I don't deserve to be here. None of us deserves anything. We're just very fortunate to live in two beautiful countries that allow us individuality.
It's great. It's a great lesson. What profession other than your own would you have liked to attempt, Patrick?
I think it would have been fun to be a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah. I love being
criminal.
I don't think I'd enjoy family law, but I really love corporate law.
Corporate law. That's great.
It would be a heyday. It would be a heyday.
Yeah.
I mean, how much fun could you have? Because you spend your whole day building the case, and you're taking that case and you're stacking it like the best, like the best lasagna you've ever seen in your life, or the best meal that you've ever dreamed of in your life, and it's all layered on top, all those flavors. It's like beautiful Cubano cooking. If you've ever been to Cuba, God. Oh my God.
That's right. I love it. I love it. All right. So now you're making me hungry. All right. So we're getting towards the end, but tell people, how did they get in touch with you, Patrick? How can they experience, working with you, getting some of your insights, having you come and talk with them about their organization, about how you can help, tell them what's the best way for them to get in touch with you.
I'm probably one of the most accessible people anywhere. If you drop Patrick Tinney and sales author into any search engine, just back up about 3 paces, because it just fills up. There's so much content up there now. I've been honored by people like you, Crispin, who felt confident that I would deliver some decent value to your listeners.
I've been following you for a while. You've been around for a while, and all of these gold nuggets that people are listening to today, and hopefully taking some lessons, not only current lessons but life lessons from you. I think it's just so valuable to hear your stories and be able to for us to be able to show how you can really help, and how you have this deep desire to do that for organizations throughout the United States. And now that I know that you're focusing on a whole nother country as well, like India, that is extremely impressive and makes a lot of sense. So I'm just so glad to have had you on today, and it just means the world. Lots of fun having you on today, and look forward to seeing you again soon for sure. I always close the show like this, Patrick. I always say, keep selling and have fun doing it. I think it's really important. Great to have you on today, Patrick.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Crispin. And you know what? I got to tell you, you fight above your belt weight in sales. I can see it, man. God, you're a bona fide rascal.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thanks for being on.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate you.
This is the reason why you should buy. And we're not asking the most important question, the reason why it was important for them, in their heart of hearts. Like, that's a sale. Then we're going to see results, the mindset. Going into every opportunity, saying to yourself, I would love to have the business, but I don't need the business. When they talk about building their organization just through referral, that means they're missing it